principle of self-determination and of the will of Kashmiri people, that was all bent after that entire Pulwama episode. However, this brinkmanship carries consequences that extend far beyond India borders. We believe that what has happened is to divert attention, I'm talking now of Pahalgam, from India's internal challenges, state-sponsored terrorism, the ongoing human rights violations in the Indian illegally occupied Kashmir, and to gain narrow domestic political objectives. Don't forget there are some by-elections coming through next few months in India. However, we are obviously absolutely alert. Regional and international peace and security cannot be sacrificed at the altar of narrow electoral gains. This is a dangerous political game and gamble, putting at stake the lives of millions in the region. Being a responsible member of the international community, Pakistan remains committed to regional peace and stability. We will support all efforts towards de-escalation. I have had interaction in the last few days with more than a couple of dozens Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Ministers, foreign ministers of other countries. In MOFA, Foreign Office, we had engaged around 45 diplomats and mission heads available in Islamabad, and with few who are members of the UN Security Council, we have probably had more than one rounds. However, in case of any act of aggression, let me first tell you that my interaction revolved around what? In fact, on 22nd of April, we just landed, Prime Minister, myself, on a 36 hours official state visit to Turkey. We were invited by His Excellency the Turkish President. Soon after landing, we had this sad news. And straight away our meeting started, which ended over the dinner. And once I was done, I engaged Foreign Office. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning, between 22nd and 23rd of April. We decided to issue a condolence message, which is still on our website. On 23rd of April, we issued this statement, and we learned that Prime Minister Modi, after curtailing his visit to Saudi Arabia, would be holding Cabinet Committee on Security of India. The times, a couple of times, changes in the time the meeting would be held, but finally it held around between Maghrib and Isha, our time. And after the meeting, there was no mention in their official statement, press briefing, any reference to Pakistan, but all the measures they took were Pakistan specific. You only need probably class 1 student to assess what was it all about. So we decided to hold our National Security Committee meeting following morning. And order. Number 2, reducing the size of our mission in New Delhi. Number 3, declaring our armed forces personnel, that attaches, naval, air force, army attaches, always there, as persona non grata. 4th, the Pakistani holding valid visas, and inside India, the visas were cancelled and asked to leave immediately Indian territory. And the most shocking, the fifth, was that they announced that they will hold in abeyance the over 6 decades old treaty known as Indus Water Treaty. Now, surely there isn't any provision in the treaty, those who have gone through the treaty. Generally, the international treaties cannot be amended or terminated without the mutual consent of the parties to the treaty. And that's exactly is the spirit of, it's not deemed spirit, it is written in the treaty that neither party solo can terminate or amend this treaty. Now, this is most unexpected from any responsible country in the Committee of Nations. We are low riparian. The established precedents and laws in the world and practically followed is the low riparians always have an access to the water which flows from the upper riparian. We are low riparian. Without going into debate in 1961 what happened, because there are certain critics, and perhaps rightly so. But all those actors who actually signed the treaty and were party to the treaty finalization are no longer in this world, so God, bless their souls. But there was a huge criticism that giving away the right to 3 rivers of Pakistan wasn't a very good deal. The water distribution treaties are generally evolve around how and what distribution would take place. But Pakistan actually agreed to virtually drying up 3 of its rivers and through that treaty. And now, they say that we are going to, by the way, I have tried to search, maybe you are great scholars, some may know, legos. I can't find the word abeyance in international treaties, dictionary. The suspension word is there, but abeyance, I haven't seen that. So it was just shock. So, as I said, that very next morning, we held our National Security Committee meeting, and we decided to still exercise patience. So we threw back the same measures on Indians what they have done to us. We closed Wagah border. We downgraded their mission here as a reciprocity. We declared that armed forces personnel persona non grata. We cancelled the Indians who were given visas and were in Pakistan and also asked them to leave. And we declared in no ambiguous terms that the holding in abeyance is non-starter, because we said it will tantamount to an act of war. We will not allow to divert or stop the flow of water, which is Pakistan's due share under the Indus Water Treaty. And in the National Security Committee meeting, we have made it amply clear that we would exercise restraint and we will not be taking any escalatory move. Almost these over 2 dozens world-renowned, As I said, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, foreign ministers. Even yesterday I spoke to Russian, I spoke to Malaysian foreign ministers. And they all, including UN Secretary General, the US Secretary Rubio, Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov, EU Foreign Minister, they all, when I speak to them, they all try to advocate that please, Mr. Foreign Minister, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, whatever they want, they say, please restrain and do not react and do not take any escalating move. I have told each one of them three things. Obviously, there's a long calls explaining what India did, what we feel, why they have done it. I just given you an example of Pulwama. I'm not saying this, I don't have evidence, but analysts say this could be another ploy. It might have been self-choreographed. How come in 10 minutes the FIR is registered at a police station where you need to at least 45 minutes ride to reach? They completed investigation, they completed all the facts finding, they dealt with on-site, and in 10 minutes the FIR was registered. Come on, nobody's fool. And then what they conveyed, because obviously all these international dignitaries are talking both sides. Few of them, great friends, I have very good relationship, working relationship with them, suggesting me, can you try and help the perpetrators to be caught? I say, hang on, do you know the distance? Where it happened and where is the line of control? They don't know. 230 kilometers. I mean, you can write in 10 minutes FIR, but you can't hold the perpetrators who did all this business and heinous act there. Listen, one thing should be very clear. Pakistan has always and will condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. This is our country policy. This is not now. When we fought against terrorism 2013-17, I was Finance Minister of Pakistan. I know how many hundreds of billions we had to finance. Even this was the policy decided, declared at that time. And we also declared we will not allow our soil to be used for any terrorist activity against any other country. The state is not involved at all in this sad incident. But, so I keep telling these guys, my colleagues, diplomatic colleagues, that listen, it is as per analysts, some analysts, that they say this could be a ploy. And why? Because India has been now communicating with us officially that this treaty needs to be, a lot of ground realities have changed. This treaty needs to be revisited. And we are responding to the latest communications. Two will be responded. But who can forego a drop of water because the future projections of water is said to be creating maybe wars in future? We can't give up a drop of water, which is our right. We honor, as I said, regardless of the certain criticism which was then, took place and which still people, but we are honoring the treaty in letter and spirit, and we had made it abundantly clear. So, some analysts, with hindsight of Pulwama, they translated this recent, year plus negotiations, communication rather, between the two on this subject, that this could be the aim, and they have demonstrated the aim by declaring that we are putting in abeyance. However, as I said, I have told all these friends three things. I said, listen, let me make your life easy. You are asking and appealing both the countries to exercise restraint. You're talking to me, you're talking to the next door neighbor. Let me make your life easy and resolve 50%. I said, we will demonstrate full patience. We will exercise restraint. On behalf of Pakistan, I give him a word, we will not be the first one to do any escalatory move or action. I think we can't do anything beyond. So when I say this thing, it automatically, changes the situation. They understand, and I said, you have to work on the other side, don't worry about us. I've given you a word. This is all minuted in the history and record of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and this is a policy decided in the National Security Committee, chaired by the Prime Minister of the country, Muhammad Shahbaz Sharif, attended by the Armed Forces, chiefs, the Chairman Joint Chief, the Army Chief, the Air Chief, the Vice Admiral of the Navy, so they were all there. So it's a unanimous decision to exercise restraint, and we will not be the first one to make any escalating move. But in case any act of aggression by India, I am making it very clear, including last night, to Russian Foreign Minister, that in case of any act of aggression by India, there should be no doubt in anyone's mind that Pakistan, let me tell you, Pakistan will resolutely defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity in exercise of the inherent right of self-defense as enshrined in the Article 51 of the UN Charter. So, I have given loud and clear message to the almost major countries of the world that where do we stand and what they can expect from us in case of. Let me also tell you something, that Alhamdulillah, we are absolutely alert. We are absolutely in a position. Our armed forces are, ready. And there has been an attempt between the night 29th and 30th of April. We had credible news of some misplay or adventurism by Indian Air Force. Alhamdulillah, we made them to run back and turn back to India. Our Air Force moved swiftly, timely, and made them to run back and turn back to India. According to our information, they landed in hurry at Sri Lanka, at Srinagar. Pakistan also remains concerned at the insightful and Islamophobic narrative being directed against the Kashmiris as well as the Indian Muslims in the backdrop of the current situation. This must end forthwith. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in this backdrop, India's illegal and unilateral decision to hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance should be a matter of serious concern to the world community. The treaty provides no basis for such unilateral actions, as he explained. India's actions undermines a fundamental pillar of regional stability with profound implications for the peaceful management of vital shared resources between the neighbors. The National Security Committee of Pakistan, as I said, has made it abundantly clear on 24th of April 2025 that any attempt to stop or divert the flow of water belonging to Pakistan as per the Indus Water Treaty will be considered an act of war. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the international community must take serious note of these developments at a time when the region requires cooperation and restraint. Any tolerance for adventurism would only embolden further instability in this part of the globe. We must not forget that the unresolved Jammu and Kashmir dispute remains the primary source of volatility in South Asia. There is an urgent need for renewed and concerted efforts under United Nations auspices to secure a just, lasting, and peaceful resolution of this dispute in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions and the aspirations of the Kashmiri people. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges being faced by our region as well as those at the global level can only be addressed through a renewed recourse to multilateralism. There is a need for universal and consistent adherence to the fundamental principles of the UN Charter, self-determination of the peoples, non-use of threat of force, respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of all states, non-interference in their internal affairs, and peaceful settlement of disputes. As I speak, millions of Palestinians are enduring unparalleled suffering. Thousands have lost their lives. Many more have been injured, and millions have been displaced. Humanitarian aid is being deliberately denied to millions in dire need, and humanitarian workers are being targeted with impunity. I've seen what's going on with UNRWA. You must speak and speak with one voice to demand an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza and ensure free flow of humanitarian assistance and lifting of all barriers. We ourselves have been experiencing this problem. We have sent almost 1.5 consignments at different times. First, we were sending to Gaza through Egypt. Problems erupted. I had to engage Amman. We started sending consignments through Amman. Then issue expanded to Lebanon. We sent our consignments to Lebanon and followed by Syria. So we have been experiencing, we are doing on pure humanitarian grounds this humanitarian assistance through the National Disasters Management Authority, who takes the lead in implementing the decisions of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the government in this regard. So I personally believe that lasting peace in the region cannot be achieved without allowing Palestinians to exercise their inalienable right to self-determination for a viable, secure, contiguous, and sovereign state of Palestine on the basis of pre-1967 borders and with Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital, in accordance with the relevant UN resolutions. The vicious cycle of poverty and rising global inequalities cannot be addressed unless we make head-on the inequalities in the international economic relations and take them head-on. There is an urgent need to reform the international financial architecture, which has been described by the UN Secretary General as morally bankrupt. Those who have the supply of resources and those who require the resources, there's a huge gap. I think it was perhaps with this vision that in our region, Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank was initiated by China. We had been I, as finance minister between 2014 and 16, part of that exercise, and I am the signatory on behalf of Pakistan on that document, which governs Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The whole idea was the 70-odd% population, which requires multilateral funding, has an access to around 30% funding from the multilateral global institutions, and vice versa. Neither the Sustainable Development Goals nor the climate goals can be achieved without international cooperation. We have seen recent statements of some global powers. I don't know how much is relevant as of now, the climate funding and the climate change subject. I think we all have to wait patiently and see and watch and plan for our own country accordingly. Concrete actions are needed to help developing countries trapped in the liquidity crisis and debt distress by ensuring adequate concessional finances, rechanneling of unused SDRs, seeking a sustained increase in the lending capacity of the multilateral development banks, and funding of International Development Association, IDA. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, access to advanced technologies, especially digital technologies, must be available on the basis of equity and non-discrimination. Being one of the topmost climate vulnerable countries, Pakistan recognizes the critical need for the international cooperation to address the common challenges posed by climate change. We need enhanced global climate actions and international cooperation to mitigate the navigate impacts of climate change based on the established principles of equity and common but differentiated responsibilities and respective capabilities, commonly known as CBDR-RC. The developed countries need to meet their climate finance commitments with a balanced focus on adaptation and mitigation, so as well as on loss and damage. I have my doubts the outcome with the global changes in the last year plus of the outcome and the decisions and the delivery with all the latest. I'm sure all of you would be pondering and would be assessing and would be, estimating what's going to happen. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is alhamdulillah endowed with rich natural and human resources and an enormous economic potential. It is located at the crossroads of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East. This I say as a faith. As a Pakistani, I have a faith that this country has the resilience and the potential to come back and be part of the big 20s. It is not too long away and long ago. It's only 2017. Eight years have passed. Where Pakistan stood at beginning of 2013. Macroeconomic unstable country, Google and find out. Projected to default 6 to 7 months, Google and find out. And country was predicted to default within 6 to 7 months. This is before general elections. Nobody knew who will win the elections. And what was the timeline? Shamshad is sitting here, what was the timeline at that time projected that Pakistan would need to get out of the quagmire we were already landed in? Was 12 to 15 years. That's why I have faith in our nation, in our country, in our society, It took only 3 years. You had all macroeconomic indicators in place, lowest inflation, decades, CPI 3.59, GDP 6.3%, highest foreign exchange reserves close to $25 billion, which still has not been broken. 24th global economy. And it's not me, it's PricewaterhouseCoopers. Find out. PricewaterhouseCoopers projected Pakistan is going to be part of G20 not later than 2030. What happened? I call it, and then the country had rolled out, which couldn't be done in the last couple of decades, rolled out, all these iPhones and smartphones and technology you're using today, thanks to 2014, the bold step of the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif government, which rolled out the auction of 3G and 4G spectrum. That's led to the latest digital position which we are enjoying today. So, unfortunately, I don't want to be, criticizing anybody. I don't want it to be political. But I genuinely believe as Pakistani, two pandemics, one natural and one human, landed this country as 47th economy by 2022. Brought us on the brink of default again, which we struggled during 22, 23 to save this country. You named the international agencies and they were giving us dates. Even June 2023, a date was given. I know why. Alhamdulillah, we survived. New election took place. Just been the damn debate of 45, 47. Let's look forward. Country has come out of the default mantra for all time to come, inshallah. It has started on the trajectory of growth. I welcome everybody, all parties, to please, for national interest, we must work together. I think there's a recent demonstration you had seen in the Senate. Former Prime Minister Anwarul Haq Sahib is sitting here. I just saw him. So you see, we demonstrated. I had to just spend 2 hours with all the political parties, regardless who is who. We managed to come out with a consensus resolution condemning what's happening, warning that if India does anything, we are all united. You see, this is the spirit. But on the other side, again, by experience 2013-17, you have the scope to go back from 47 to part of G20. We have to just work hard. बहुत लोग कहते हैं जी debt trap हो गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया. What debt trap? What is debt to GDP of America, the big power? Over 109%. What is debt to GDP of United Kingdom after COVID? Over 100%. What is debt to GDP of Japan? 257%. Oh, bhai, मैंने तो 63% पे छोड़ा था 2017 पे. When we came back, it was 73. We have self-imposed a law. मैंने उसको इनिशिएट किया 1999 में दी डेट रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड लिमिटेशन एक्ट के 60% तक रहेंगे, पर ये कोई सहीफा आसमानी से नहीं उतरा हुआ. God has blessed this country with over $10 trillion of rare earth material, lithium, copper, gold, hydrocarbons, granite. So please have faith in your country. Governments आती जाती रहती हैं, लोग चेंज होते रहते हैं. We should work together as a nation to take the country back from 47th to part of G20. We were 24th. If in next 4 years we would have passed another 2, 3, 22nd, 21st, I was complimented publicly. लेकिन we गिर के 47th पे चले गए. बहरहाल, it's never too late. So, we should remain determined to capitalize on these inherent advantages, what I have explained to you, for the prosperity and betterment of our people and this nation, and for the entire region. We have prioritized geoeconomics as one of the cardinal pillars of our engagement with our international partners. After I got my job description changed this time, having served in the Ministry of Finance for 4 times in the last 35 years, I decided, वो मुझ में वो जो फाइनेंस का कीड़ा है वो तो है, तो I announced on the day one when I spoke to the senior officers of the MOFA that from today, side by side with the conventional diplomacy, there will be proactive economic diplomacy. And we are, alhamdulillah, following that very much principle in the last 1 year plus. We are determined to enhance regional connectivity and increase bilateral and multilateral development partnerships for socio-economic uplift. To achieve these goals, we are desirous of peace in the region and beyond. At a time when we are headed on the path of economic stability, we do not want any distractions from our people-centric development agenda and efforts. I just had a note before I came on my way. Somebody said, can I share something outcome of the entire efforts vis-a-vis the global multilateral institutions. So I'm happy it's not part of a written speech. I've been perhaps half the time speaking at some board. First of all, we got OIC Secretariat and the Secretary General to issue a statement, which is public. You can Google and find it out. The senior officials meeting of the OIC took place, and 48 hours ago, they have also passed a resolution, which in normal course will be obviously endorsed and approved in June in the meeting of the Council of Foreign Ministers of Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC, in Istanbul. But we may, if necessary, requisition an extraordinary general meeting of the OIC, Council of Foreign Ministers, but this the government will decide. Third, there was a press statement, which is a standard practice when an incident took place in any part of the world. In the UN Security Council, as you know, you are, alhamdulillah, from 1st of January, Pakistan is, the non-permanent member for 2 years of the UN Security Council. In 2012, Pakistan won with 1 vote. Now, we were elected 182 versus 5. Alhamdulillah. You see, this is Pakistan now. वो कुछ लोग को 1.5 साल पहले कहते थे 2 साल पाकिस्तान डिप्लोमेटिकली आइसोलेट हो गया है. मुझे तो ना दिन का पता होता है ना रात का कि किसकी मैं कॉल लूँ और किससे मैं एंगेज करूँ, किसको ना करूँ. It's such a long list of mutual interactions with the global community, diplomatic community. Fourth, in addition, in accordance with that tradition, in UN Security Council, US moved a resolution, and the resolution was obviously condemning the terrorist attack in Pahalgam. I think working as the nation's nominee and in the instructions, under the instructions of Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and the government and the National Security Committee, I wasn't very happy on 2 things in that resolution, draft resolution. One, the word Pahalgam was there, but it didn't say where. The district, Jammu and Kashmir was missing. And it was obviously, perhaps on purpose. I said, nothing doing. We put a hold that put Jammu and Kashmir, then it is acceptable. And I gave an example. I said, let's say if something happens in London and a similar resolution comes London, will it be London of UK? Will it be London of USA? Will be London of Australia? Will be London of Canada? Why are you shying? Put Jammu and Kashmir. Number two, there was the TRF was mentioned. This is the resistance forum which post 2019 Indian acts of usurping Jammu and Kashmir as its Indian Union territory illegally, unacceptable. The blame was put on that TRF. They were condemned. I said, listen, I haven't seen their claim. Number two, if you have any evidence, show us. So through our ambassador, who is called Permanent Representative Ambassador Munir Asim Iftikhar in UN, I said, put on hold. They must correct these two things. Delete TRF or give us evidence, put Jammu and Kashmir after Pahalgam. It took 2.5 days. It is always a war of nerves. Alhamdulillah, both things were done, and that press release with these two amendments went public. Lastly, Sunday was, for me, there's no Sunday or weekend. I was busy talking to Malaysia, talking to Foreign Minister Lavrov of Russia, etc., and dealing with many things related to it. With the approval of Prime Minister and in consultation with the Army Chief, General Asim Munir, I have directed last night our permanent representative in UN to summon and request for a meeting of the UN Security Council. Let's share with them what I have talked to you here. Let's share with them with the facts and figures and the detail and the evidence we have shown other day when ISPR, Lieutenant General Sharif Saab with me, and our spokesperson Shafqat Ali Khan was with me. I'm sure you would have seen it is elaborate. So we have triggered it last night. And fourth, and the last, OIC, there is an OIC contact group permanent observer status in UN. We managed to have the meeting, and there is a resolution which is going to be out any day during our working hours, inshallah, and maybe 7, 8 in the evening. So that has also been done. So we are, as your representatives and the government, are doing whatever best we can to deal with this situation. Visibly, India has gone defensive. It's not me who got sponsored in New York Times, in Bloomberg, in Economist, in Financial Times. No, they understood our viewpoint. What we are saying makes sense. Please give us the evidence. Pakistan has categorically made an offer by Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif in his address to the Kakul Passing Out Academy on Saturday, within days of this incident, that we are ready for any independent, transparent, international probe and investigation because our hands are clean. So if you want to get it done, most welcome. Let's call spade a spade, and let's find out who are the ones who are involved in all this and what is the outcome. So अल्लाह का शुक्र है कि पाकिस्तान ने अब तक जो अपनी efforts की हैं, which are a duty, has exposed Indians mala fide, and now they are on the back foot. But, it takes two to tango. I've been telling all these dignitaries whom I'm talking to in the last few days that I can assure you only from my side that we will demonstrate patience, we will exercise restraint, and we will not be the first one to attack. But if anybody makes any mistake and enters into adventurism, then God knows where those situations will be leading to. So hopefully, I hope sense prevails, and they should do introspection I'm not sure. I'm not blaming, but I've seen one senior, probably 3 stars, has been sent home. One number 2 in the Air Force has been sent home. Maybe that episode which happened when we forced the 4 Indian Air Force, fighters to go back just 4 days ago. So God knows. But anyway, it is their internal business. They can sack the whole army, whole Air Force. It's not our business. Perhaps it will resolve the issue. But anyway, I think I have taken a lot of time beyond I was asked to. I do hope that the international community will help us achieve the goals I have enumerated in my little talk. And any spoilers in the region will be prevented from obstructing our path to peace and prosperity. As I said, I will be keenly looking forward to your deliberations in the next few sessions in 3 days, and I think your wisdom will certainly help Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the government as a whole to benefit from any great ideas which you will come up with. I once again thank you, Mr. President, and all excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, for your very patient hearing. Thank you very much indeed. God bless you.